I always thought my son Aiden loved me. After his father passed away, we both went through a lot. I cooked for him, supported him, and tried to keep the house warm and full of love. But something inside him started to change. Slowly, quietly, it began with small things. He stopped having dinner with me. He kept locking his room even during the day. Then I started noticing the way he looked at the safe in my bedroom, the one where I kept important papers, some cash, and my will. I'd catch him staring at it for too long. Once I even saw him try to open it, pretending he was dusting, but I never said anything. I was his mother. I wanted to believe the best until the day he sat me down at the kitchen table and looked me straight in the eyes. "Mom," he said slowly, "you haven't been yourself lately." I blinked. "What do you mean?" "You keep forgetting things," he replied. "You're paranoid. You said the neighbors are watching you. You thought someone broke in, but nothing was stolen. You're not well." I tried to explain. "Aiden, I never said that. I just said I heard noises. The doctor said that's normal as people age, right?" But he wouldn't listen. His face was already set like stone. "I talked to a doctor," he said, "and I'm getting you help tomorrow. Someone from the center will come. They'll take care of everything." "What center?" I asked, my heart pounding. "You'll stay there for a while just to get checked. They'll evaluate your memory, your behavior. It's for your own good." I stood up, shaking. "You're sending me away." "It's temporary," he said coldly. "You need rest. You're not yourself anymore." Something about his voice felt off. It wasn't the tone of a worried son. It was the tone of a man who already made up his mind. That night, I tried to go into his room to talk again, maybe reason with him, but the door was locked. Through the crack, I heard him talking on the phone. "She's finally out of the way tomorrow. Yeah, I'll handle the papers next." I froze. Out of the way? What papers? I slept with one eye open. The next morning, a van pulled up. A woman and two men from a mental wellness center stepped in, smiling, polite, but cold underneath. "We're just going to take you for a checkup, Miss Martha." I looked at Aiden. "Tell them you were wrong," I begged. He looked away. Didn't even say goodbye. "They took my phone, my purse, even my house keys. They said I'd get them back after the observation period." I sat quietly as the van drove off. But inside, I was screaming because I finally understood. This wasn't about concern. This was about control. And it wasn't just my freedom he wanted. It was the house, the will, everything. And the scariest part? Nobody would believe me now. Not until it was too late. The facility was quiet, too quiet. From the moment I stepped in, something felt wrong. Everything was white, cold, clean, but not comforting. The nurses were polite, but they didn't smile with their eyes. They weren't warm. They were trained to treat people like me as a problem to manage, like I was broken. I wasn't. But my voice didn't matter here. Aiden made sure of that. They said he had power of attorney. They said he signed the release forms, that he was the responsible family member. And me? I was just the old woman losing her mind. At least, that's what they were told. They took away my phone to keep me from stress. They didn't let me use the internet. I asked for a laptop to read the news. They said it might confuse me. I asked to call my lawyer. They said I was not in a stable condition to make legal decisions. I wasn't even allowed visitors. Every day they gave me pills. Pills that made me sleep. Pills that made my head fuzzy, but I didn't swallow them. I learned to hide them under my tongue, then spit them out when no one was looking. I had to stay sharp because I knew something was happening back at the house. Something bad. Meanwhile, at the house, Aiden moved fast. He didn't wait even a week. He called my lawyer, Linda Shaw, a woman I had worked with for years. She was smart, loyal, and sharp as a blade, but she was also cautious. She didn't jump to conclusions. Aiden told her I had mentally declined, that I was unfit to manage assets, that I needed to be permanently relocated to the facility, and that he would be handling all financial matters from now on. Then he said something strange. "She wanted me to have everything anyway." Isn't that what the last will says? That sentence set off alarms in Linda's mind, because the last will didn't say that. 3 months ago, I had secretly updated my will.
Why?
Because I had started to feel something in my bones, a mother's gut, that Aiden might not be the son I thought he was. I didn't remove him completely.
No.
But I had added conditions, strong ones. He wouldn't get a penny unless he could prove he had supported me with love and care through the last years of my life. He had no idea I'd done that. And now he was about to walk into a trap he didn't even know existed. Back in the facility, I had a plan, but it was risky. Each morning, a nurse named Karen brought my food. She was older than the others, softer. Her eyes didn't have that cold shine. I noticed she wore a small cross around her neck. So, one morning as she handed me my breakfast tray, I whispered, "Please, I'm not crazy. I need to get a letter to someone outside."
To my lawyer, she blinked.
"Please," I begged. "My son locked me in here to steal everything from me. I swear on everything I love. If you don't believe me, throw the letter away. But if you do, please deliver it." I showed her my old hospital bracelet that still had Linda's contact info from a surgery years ago. She looked at me for a long time, then nodded. "Hide the letter in your pillow tonight," she whispered. "I'll take it." That night, I wrote everything. The forged documents, the updated will, the safe back home, the warning signs. I signed it. I even included a secret code only Linda and I knew about from an old case we handled years ago. It was the only way she'd know it really came from me. The next morning, Karen was gone. I waited and waited for 3 days. I thought maybe I was wrong. Maybe she turned it in. Maybe I made a mistake trusting her. But on the 4th day, everything changed. At Aiden's new home, he had already started redecorating. He ripped out the old rugs, painted the walls, and took down my wedding pictures. He replaced the family portraits with minimalist art. It didn't even feel like a home anymore, just an empty space filled with fake success. He invited friends over for wine nights and told people the house was finally his until one evening, while sitting on the couch, he got a phone call. He didn't recognize the number, but he answered. "Hello." It was Linda, and she didn't waste time. Her voice was calm, almost too calm. "Funny how you said your mother's unwell," she said, "because I just received a letter from her written clearly. No confusion, no rambling." Aiden stood up. "That can't be. She's not allowed communication." "She found a way," Linda interrupted. "And that letter contains something interesting, like how you forged her consent, how you claimed she gave you power of attorney, how you tried to fast-track control over her estate." There was silence on the line. "And here's the best part," Linda continued. "She included the updated will, the one you never knew about. You were never meant to get the house without proving you actually cared for her. Looks like you failed that test." His hand trembled. I didn't mean to." Linda cut him off. "You're done, Aiden." Then she hung up. That same night, as Aiden stared blankly at the walls, unsure of what just happened, his doorbell rang. He opened it, and there stood a woman holding a camera and a stack of papers. "Mr. Aiden Thompson?" she asked. He nodded. "You've been served. Court order, fraudulent activity, elder abuse. You'll need to appear in court." And just like that, the wall started to crumble. But he hadn't seen the worst yet because his mother was coming back. And this time, she wasn't alone. Aiden didn't sleep that night. He couldn't. The moment Linda hung up, he knew everything was falling apart. For days, he ignored the panic. He told himself his mother was confused, that no one would believe her, that his plan was flawless. But now the lawyer had proof. And if Linda believed her, others might too. And that meant lawsuits, jail time. Everything he had stolen gone. He paced the living room in silence. The room he had proudly redesigned. The walls that were once filled with his mother's memories were now cold, empty, painted gray. But now, even that gray started to feel heavy, like it was swallowing him. He didn't just feel guilt. He felt fear. For the first time, the consequences became real. Meanwhile, back at the facility, I didn't know if Linda got my letter. I didn't know if Karen had made it out safely. The only thing I had was hope and the knowledge that I didn't stay silent. I had spoken my truth. And now I had to wait until the nurse walked in. Not Karen, a different one. Her name was Elise. She smiled softly and handed me a sealed envelope. "It's from Melinda Shaw," she whispered. My fingers trembled as I opened it. Inside was a letter. It was short, but it changed everything. Martha, I received your message. It was clear, powerful, and legally solid. I've taken action. Trust me, you'll be home soon. Stay strong. Tears ran down my face as I folded the letter and tucked it close to my chest. I wasn't alone anymore. The next morning, Aiden was trying to stay calm. He told himself maybe Linda was bluffing, that maybe she was just testing him, but then his phone rang again. This time it was a number he recognized. It was the mental health facility. He picked up thinking maybe they were calling to confirm something. Maybe things were still under control, but it wasn't what he expected. Mr. Thompson, the woman on the phone said firmly, "We've received new legal instructions. Your mother's stay has been reevaluated. A court-ordered investigation is underway regarding the legitimacy of her commitment." Aiden went silent. Additionally, the voice continued, "A medical board has been contacted to review her case. If her condition is deemed stable, we will have to report your previous claims for possible manipulation." "What are you saying?" he asked, his voice dry. "I'm saying, Mr. Thompson, things aren't going to go your way anymore." That same evening, Aiden sat in the dining room staring at a glass of untouched wine. A few of his friends were over chatting, laughing, but he wasn't present. His mind was racing. He hadn't told them. He couldn't. What would he say? "I committed my mother to steal her house and forged her signature." They thought he was a successful young man who had inherited a property. They didn't know the truth. And just as he was lost in thought, the front door opened. Not knocked, opened. Everyone turned to look. Standing there was me, alive. Well, dressed in a sharp coat, hair brushed chin high, and beside me Linda, holding a black folder. Aiden's face turned white. I stepped forward slowly, letting the silence fill the room. No one said a word until I finally spoke. "Funny how you said I was too confused to sign a check," I said softly. "But I made it here just fine." One of his friends awkwardly stood up. "Is everything okay?" "No," Linda replied. "But it will be once the police arrive." The fallout began instantly. Linda handed over copies of the forged documents to the investigator who arrived an hour later. Aiden was pulled aside for questioning. The guests left in silence, whispering. The police didn't arrest him right away, but they made it clear this was serious. Fraud, forgery, elder abuse, emotional manipulation. The list was long, and every piece of evidence pointed to one person. My son. Later that night, after the house had cleared, Linda and I sat together in the living room. My living room. She looked at me, tears in her eyes. "You were right," she whispered. "He planned everything." I nodded slowly. I knew, but I needed to make sure the world knew, too. We didn't talk much after that. We didn't need to. The silence was enough, because I was home. And the truth was finally louder than the lies. But the story wasn't over yet, because I had one more decision to make, and it would change Aiden's life forever. One more twist. But for now, I let him sit alone in that cold, gray house. The house he tried to steal. Knowing the world was watching him now. And knowing that his mother was no longer his victim. She was the one holding the cards. The police didn't arrest Aiden that night, but they didn't have to.
Not yet.
Because what I had planned next was going to ruin him more completely than a jail cell ever could. This wasn't just about justice anymore. It was about truth. It was about showing him that you don't betray the person who raised you and expect to walk away clean. The morning after I returned home, I walked from room to room. Every photo of me and his father was gone. My old sofa replaced with cold leather. Even the kitchen, where I used to cook Aiden's favorite meals when he was young, had been stripped of warmth. No magnets on the fridge, no spice rack, just sleek surfaces. It wasn't a home anymore. It was a display, and I didn't want it back. Not like this. So, while Aiden scrambled to fix things, calling lawyers, deleting emails, trying to make it all go away, I made one phone call to someone he never expected, the city's real estate agent. I gave her the address, told her the entire truth, and said 6 words that made her pause. "List it for whatever it's worth." "Are you sure?" she asked. "You just got it back." "I'm sure," I said. I'm not here to reclaim what he tried to steal. I'm here to teach him what it means to lose something forever. But that was only the first move. The second, I contacted the women's shelter my best friend Clara volunteers at. A place that houses abandoned mothers, women escaping abuse, single moms struggling to survive with their kids. I asked them if they needed more space. They said yes. I smiled and told them I had a house for them. While the sale was being finalized, Aiden received another court letter. This time it was about fraud investigation proceedings. The lawyer had submitted everything: his fake claims, forged signatures, his attempt to illegally claim power of attorney. The mental health facility had opened an internal review. Even the nurse I trusted, Karen, was ready to testify on my behalf. His bank accounts were being frozen for audit. He was banned from accessing any funds tied to my estate. And the worst part? He couldn't stop it because every lie he told, every signature he faked, every time he silenced me had been documented. And now the truth was screaming louder than he ever could. A few days later, I saw him. He was standing outside the house, staring at a sold sign. He didn't notice me across the street. He was just frozen until a black SUV pulled up and 4 women stepped out. One holding a baby, another helping an elderly woman with a bag. They walked right past him, smiled politely, and unlocked the front door. My old house was now a home for women who had suffered the way I had, but worse. Women who were hurt, silenced, manipulated, just like I had been. But now they had a key, a place, a beginning. Aiden looked like he'd just seen a ghost. And then he saw me. We didn't say anything. Not at first. I walked toward him slowly, calmly, like I wasn't angry anymore. And I wasn't. I was something deeper, wiser, stronger. He opened his mouth, tried to speak. But I raised my hand to stop him. You didn't just try to take a house, Aiden, I said softly. You tried to erase me, replace me, lock me away, and wear my life like a costume. His lips trembled. I panicked, Mom. I was broke. I didn't know what to do. I tilted my head. But you knew how to lie. You knew how to fake documents. You knew how to tell strangers that your own mother was mentally unstable. He didn't answer, so I stepped closer. Your father died loving you, I said. And you turned his memory into a business plan. Tears welled up in his eyes.
But mine?
Mine were dry, because I had cried enough already. I'm not pressing criminal charges, I said. The state will handle that. He looked up, surprised. You're not? No, I'm not giving you more of my energy. That's my final gift to you, Aiden. He looked around at the house now filled with voices, laughter, warmth, not his. Why did you sell it? He whispered. You could have just taken it back. I gave a small smile. Because I didn't want to live in a house that smelled like betrayal. Then I turned to leave. But before I did, I reached into my coat pocket and placed something gently in the mailbox. It was a note on the back of an old family photo, written in black ink. I may be old, but I'm not blind. Enjoy the empty walls, Aiden. As I walked away, I didn't feel angry anymore or hurt or even proud. I just felt free. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't screaming. It's peace. It's letting the person who tried to destroy you sit alone in the silence they created, knowing they didn't just lose a house. They lost the one person who loved them enough to fight for them.